Hi guys, juniors, seniors, Mr. N is here. I'm making this video for you to have an understanding of how to solve similar problems in the proficiency exam, and this video is a prep for tomorrow's class. Okay, so let's start with the first problem, first question, number 23. The way is given here. A right triangle is shown below. Which equation represents the value of x? So this is a very simple problem. I would say 7th grade, 8th grade maths, even 6th or 5th grade. Pythagoras Theorem, right? You guys remember Pythagoras? And many of you remember that as the famous a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And remember also that in one of the classes I told you that you have to identify your a, b, and c before you say that Pythagoras theorem says that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. When you say that, you always acknowledge that a and b are the legs of your right triangle, a and b are the shorter sides, while c is your hypotenuse, right? Good. Let's get back to our problem. As you can see, we pretty much have Pythagoras theorem in its simplest form. We have a equals 7, we have b equals 8, and your c is given to you as x. Okay, so which equation represents the value of x? Well, going back to Pythagoras theorem says what? A squared plus b squared equals c squared, or if you want you can write it backwards, right? You can say c squared equals a squared plus b squared. But my c is actually x, so I have x squared equals a squared. A squared is 7. 7 squared plus b squared, which is 8. 8 squared. Now you should look to your options here, A, B, C, D. Is any one of them given to you like that? And I will say no, because here I have x, 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 x. So I need to find x. To find x, I'm going to take the square root of both sides. Square root of any number squared. And even if you have, let's say, square root of smiley face squared, that's going to be smiley face at the first degree, right? Just smiley face. So the same story here with x. This is going to be x equals square root of 7 squared plus 8 squared. And it seems that we're done, because if you guys check your options, C is an option that's identical to this one. This is the answer, C. And this is pretty much one way to solve any problem of this type involving Pythagoras theorem, basic approach, one of the sides missing. You always start with the theorem, right? Make sure then that you're identifying your A and B sides as being the shorter ones, or if you want, the ones that are perpendicular to each other, the legs. Okay, let's see another one. Next one, problem 11. The graph of a linear equation is shown below. What is the slope of a line perpendicular to the given line? And before you do anything in trying to find whatever attribute of the given graph, you have to remember that two lines will be perpendicular to each other if the product of their slopes is equal to -1. So if I have two lines, let's say this one here, m1, its slope, right? And I have another line that is perpendicular to this one, which has a slope m2. Well, always m1 slope, right? This is m1 is the slope of this line here. m1 times m2 will equal -1. And so if I'm calling this line L1 and this line L2, L1 will be perpendicular to L2 if and only if the product of their slopes is -1, right? Okay, well, they're not telling me the slope of line L1 the way I've labeled it, right? No problem. Can we find the slope? Sure we can. And I will take the other line away from here. Okay, so I got my line L1. To find the slope of a line that's already graphed, the best way, or one of the ways, would be to find 2 points with known coordinates. And in this case, I will choose this point here and that point over there. As you can see, one point has what coordinates? Well, that's the origin. X is 0, right? And y is what? 1, 2, 3. The other one, x is what? 1, 2, 3, 4. And y is 0 because it's on the x-axis. And these are my 2 points. Now, you may not use their coordinates. In this case, you may just say, hey, how about this being point A and this one being point B? And to find the slope, you remember, right, that slope, and in this case we call it m1 for this line, equals the change in y over change in x, or rise over run. Okay, change in y over change in x. When I'm saying change, delta y would be whatever the change will be in y to change the altitude of A to the altitude of B. When I'm saying altitude, I'm referring to the y's, right? And the run is whichever change in location on the horizontal line, on the x-axis, happens to go from A to B. All right, and one way to go from A to B will be, first of all, and to find the slope, you always have to move either vertically or horizontally. Vertically to find the rise, horizontally to find the run. And let's start with the rise. Well, the rise is what? I have to go 1, 2, 3 units down, right? And because I'm going down into the negative, or toward the negative direction, right, this way, that will be -3. So my rise is -3 units. Okay, from here I have to move 1, 2, 3, 4 units to the right to get to B, but because I'm moving into the positive direction of my x-axis, that will be +4. Okay, and it's your slope m, which slope m1, because we're talking about line L1, is -3 over 4. Okay, now let's get back to the relation between two lines that are perpendicular to each other. These two lines, L1 and the other line we're mentioning at the beginning, L2. And in that relation, I will substitute what I found. I found what is m1, right? And I have m1 -3/4 times m2 should equal -1. All right. Now, first of all, I got a negative number times another number that gives me a negative number. Well, I can tell you that this number here, m2, is going to be positive. Okay. So A and B, not good, because only a negative multiplied by a positive gives you a negative number. So M2, it's either 3/4 or 4/3. And if you don't know how to solve this equation, which requires you to multiply left and right by the reciprocal of this fraction here, right? Of the negative 3/4, and you multiply by the reciprocal of by the same number on the right side, right? So I have negative 4/3 times negative 3/4. M2 equals -1 times that. As you notice, negative, 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 negative will be positive. Also on the left side I have 4 divided by 4, 3 and 3 will cancel out. All you have left is M2, the slope of a line that would be perpendicular on the given line, should equal 4/3, because 1 times 4/3 is 4/3. And this is the slope of a line that will be perpendicular to the given one. And that's why the answer here is going to be D. Okay? If you have any questions, write them down. Okay? Write them down, bring them to class. And also I do recommend you guys, as you're watching this, before you see what I'm doing, to pause the video, to stop it, try on your own, and then play again, see if you got it right. Ask yourself why you didn't get it right. Pause it again, try to work on your own, play, pause, play. That's the way you learn. And the most important part is that you have to write it down. You have to work on your own with pencil, pen, whatever you're using to write with, writing in the sand by the lake. It doesn't matter. Making a nice tattoo, right, with this graph, whatever works. We'll talk to your parents first about that. Okay, let's see the next one. Inequalities, problem number 10. Okay, an inequality is shown below. P over 2 is greater than or equal to 10 over x, which shows the inequality correctly solved for x when x is greater than 0. And this is a very important, fact. Why is that important? You guys remember from the inequalities? If you multiply an inequality by a negative number, your inequality sign changes. And let me show you why. Let's say I have -1 less than 2. That's a fact, right? That's true. A negative number, in this case 1, is always less than a positive number. But how about multiplying both sides by -2? Okay. Using the distributive property, you're going to take this 2, you're going to multiply the left side, you're going to multiply the right side. I have -2 times -1 will become +2. I'm going to leave the sign for a while, and I'm going to multiply first -2 times 2, which is what? -4. Now, what is the relation between 2 and -4 now? Right, 2 is greater than -4. So what do you guys notice? What happened to your sign here? Your sign flipped, okay? So this is it. When you multiply by a negative number, your inequality sign flips. But in this problem, they said x is positive, and not just positive, different than 0 too, because it cannot be 0, right? It cannot be 0 at the bottom over there. Okay, well, how to solve this one? Well, I'm going back to the inequality. P over 2 greater than or equal to 10 over x. I'm solving it like an equation, and one way is you guys can think about, like having a proportion. P over 2 equals 10 over x. Think about the cross products, right? Or you just multiply the whole thing here by the common denominator of 2 and x, which is 2x, right? So I'm multiplying everything by 2x. You take this 2x, you multiply that part, that side you multiply this one. And you have 2x times p. 2x times p over 2. The sign doesn't change because I multiply by a positive number. We said x is positive, right? Very important. The other side, I have 10 over x times 2x. Well, as you guys can see here, 2 and 2 will cancel each other out. On the left side, you will have p times x greater than or equal. Here I have x and x that will cancel out, greater than or equal to 20. Now, because I need to find what is the relation of x to this number, I will divide everything by p. P divided by p, and my inequality becomes x greater than or equal to 20 over p. That's the answer. You're looking to which one is the same with that. Make sure that you're putting one more restriction here, that p can't be 0 for obvious reasons, right? Because p is a denominator, and your denominators have to always be different than 0. And that's why the right answer for this problem is A. Okay, that's the answer. This is how you solve it. Remember the fact that if you multiply by a negative number, an inequality, your sign changes. Otherwise, you're good. Okay, thank you very much. I will see you guys tomorrow in class. Keep checking my channel. I will add more problems to better prepare you for this proficiency exam that is in our way. We're gonna make it move. All right, thank you.